Hey everybody, I hope you're having a great day. Got our coffee, we're going to talk about inflation. And if you thought inflation was going away, it sure isn't. So without further ado, let's do this. Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. Let's jump right in. I got my notes. We got a story out of the hedge and I think it's very, very important. It's entitled, Nothing is Over. Inflation is about to come back with a vengeance. Now, you guys know that the Economic Ninja, that's me, has been saying for quite some time that we are going to go through a bout of hyperinflation. We are going to see hyperinflation in food and in energy. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, we are having issues with rice in India, grain in the UK. We just had a grain explosion, a dust explosion, which I do not believe was nefarious. These things happen as a firefighter. Dust explosions are extremely dangerous and one of the main culprits in destroying granaries. All right. And so we are seeing, though, pressure on the world food market. We've already seen hyperinflation in eggs in the last 2 years. 400% we've seen a dozen of eggs go up throughout the country. Have they settled back a bit? Yes. And it's almost like the peasants, sheeple. People that just don't know what's going on. They go, oh, it's okay. We're just going to have to live like this. But no, it's actually because of central bank manipulation and them little meddling hands in our money supply. That is what is causing this. All right, so let's dive right in. Perhaps one of the most bizarre recent developments in economic news has been the attempt by establishment media to declare U.S. inflation defeated. I completely disagree with that. Type 1 if you think that inflation is going to get worse. Type 2 if you think that inflation is getting better and that the government is here to help us. I don't want to sway that vote. Despite all the facts to the contrary, keep in mind that when these people talk about inflation, they are only talking about the most recent CPI, which is supposed to be a measure of current inflation growth, not a measure of inflation already accumulated. But the CPI is easily manipulated, and focus on that index alone is a tactic for misleading the public on the true economic danger. The way current U.S. inflation is presented might seem like a fiscal miracle. How did America put CPI, which stands for the cost price index, so quickly while the rest of the world, including Europe, is still dealing with continuing distress? Is Bidenomics really an economic powerhouse? You tell me. Type 3 if you think Bidenomics is awesome and it's working great. Tell me, type number 4 if you think Bidenomics is a piece of trash and that guy needs to go. All right. First, let's be clear that there are 4 types of inflation: creeping, walking, galloping, and hyperinflation. We're going there next. We also should distinguish between monetary inflation and price inflation because they are not always directly related. If we calculate CPI according to the same methods used during the stagflationary crisis of the 1980s, real inflation has been in double digits for the past couple of years. This continues galloping inflation, a very dangerous condition that can lead to a depression event. And that is what I've been preparing you guys for. This is what we are getting ready for. There's not a lot you could do to stop it, so you better get ready for it and then make lots of money from it. It blows me away when all these defeatists come into the comment section like, I can't believe you take advantage of people's downturn. Well, I'm trying. I'm misfortune. I'm trying to actually wake everyone up. What are you doing? And then there's other people who are like, we're going to have to be like in bunkers and just surviving. What are you talking about? Trying to make money. It's like, you know what? You need to go to another channel of a bunch of preppers that are hiding in bunkers, because it sounds like that's where you belong. Because I don't know if you know this, but not all the people died during the Great Depression. Not all the people died during the Black Plague, during all these, horrible things, right? Where economies were destroyed. Not everybody died. And actually, lots of people became rich. So I am choosing the latter. All right, here we go. There are multiple triggers for the inflation spike. The primary cause was tens of trillions of dollars in monetary stimulus created by the Federal Reserve, the majority of which took place on the watch of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Crazy, huh? I already lost where I was reading. This epic, too big to fail stimulus created an avalanche effect in which economic weakness accumulated like sheets of ice on a mountainside. The final straw of the COVID lockdowns and the $8 trillion in stimulus packages pumped directly into the system. Then it all came crashing down. To give you a sense of how bad this situation is, we look at the F2 Stand by.
goodness. Oh, that's delicious. All right, here we go.
Let's dive back in. All we have to do is look at the M2 money supply, which is collapsing. That is because people are chasing yield. Remember, M2 money supply, all cash, cashier's checks, savings accounts, savings, all the stuff that's pretty much tangible, right? They're pulling that out and putting in money market accounts because people are freaking out that they are every day, they're losing money to inflation. All right? That's the proof. They're like, no longer are we going to sit around our lazy boys and watch Netflix. We're going to go to the bank now, pull it out, and put it in a money market account, yielding 3.5% to 4.5%, because that's just a good thing to do. That's what's happening. Now, can you imagine a world where we start moving into hyperinflation and gold starts rising on a dollar basis, and they go, oh crap, maybe we need to go buy gold, and you're all like sitting back like, already did. Enjoy the profits. Boom. All right, sorry, I digress. There's multiple triggers. All right, blah, blah, blah. There have been too many dollars chasing too few goods and services. Thus, the price rise dramatically with the cost of necessities increasing 25 to 50%. Think about that for a moment. It now costs us 25 to 50% more per year to live than it did before in 2020, and it's not over by a long shot. Household costs are still climbing, and since inflation is cumulative, we will likely never be rid of the increases that are already in place. But if that's the reality, why is CPI going down? It's because they're lying. And they're making things up. They're changing metrics. Okay, sorry, I'm just going way ahead. The main reason has been the central banks pumping up interest rates. The more expensive debt comes, the more the economy slows down. That said, the Fed has remained hawkish for a reason. They know that inflation is not going away. They need to help if they're going to convince the public that inflation is no longer a problem. On top of this, there is also geopolitical factors to consider. The White House has earmarked over $100 billion in aid to Ukraine. That's because they want to protect those democratic servers. Just, you know, I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. That's what's going on. Scary. A proxy war, a proxy war is one good way to circulate fiat dollars overseas as a mean to reduce monetary inflation at home, but it's not going to be enough unless the war expands considerably. Type 8 if you think that the White House is doing everything they can to make this war into a world war. Type 9 if you don't care or you don't think anything's happening. The Fed doesn't necessarily have to keep printing money for inflation to persist. They just have to set chain reaction in motion. The recent Fitch downgrade of the U.S. credit rating is not going to help matters, as it encourages foreign investors to dump their dollars and treasuries even faster. And that is so absolutely true. We have got a very serious situation. See, in the beginning, as the inflation starts roaring and the Fed has to raise rates to slow down the economy, everything gets expensive. If you're a consumer that's still like, well, hey, I got money and I still want to grow my business. Okay, so I still want to take out debt because that's how our entire country is formed. It's based off of debt, right? Very rarely do companies go out and be like, oh, we're gonna wait to expand until we have enough cash to expand. No, they use debt to expand. So as they're just chugging along and they're not seeing what's going on with the public, the big sea changes, the cycles, like I've been teaching here for 3 years, what happens is their cost of borrowing gets more expensive. So then they have to pass it on to the consumer. So everything gets more expensive. On the flip side, right now with that credit rating downgrade, that is so insane because right now we already have a world that is going, we want to get rid of US dollars. We don't want them. And now not even their own credit agencies think that they're worth that rating. So we've got to dump these even faster. This is very serious. On top of that, you have our own Federal Reserve, which is not government. It's not federal. It's a private bank, stating that we are going to reduce our balance sheet rapidly. Why? Because they know that those assets in their balance sheet, trillions of dollars worth of assets, are going to be worthless because they're crap assets. The only reason they have them on the books is because they've been buying them from banks that are failing, loaning the money against those assets. Think about that. That's how serious this is. This isn't a joke. I turn this stuff into a joke because sit there and like, you got to wake up people somehow. Gosh, it's crazy. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great day. The Economic Ninja is out.